Newbies episode 4 with Nico.
With Nico. That's our guy, Nico.
That's me.
Woo! Hey, everybody. I'm Ben.
I'm Angel.
I'm Nico.
And
Welcome back to
Newbies.
Yay!
Episode 4.
Episode 4, baby.
Today we are reviewing Thunderbolts. That came out
A little bit late. It's okay.
we're a little late.
What can I say, everybody? We're MCU. We're MCU fans.
May 2nd, so we are like...
Oh, we're like
More than
well over
5 weeks late.
Hey, at least. But hey, I grew up as an MCU fanboy. Like I was absolutely. I feel like the MCU was, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of like film people.
Especially
the MCU
people our
was,
age, yeah.
Right, our age. The MCU was like my pipeline into appreciating like film as an art form. And I feel like this, this movie, at least for me, was it was a really good feeling to sort of like see the MCU come somewhat, maybe not perfectly, but like somewhat back to sort of like
To how it was
to form.
back then.
You know,
Yeah.
'cause like a return to form.
For me, I wasn't a like huge like mega fan of the MCU until like Phase 3, I would say. So maybe like Homecoming, Black Panther, Ragnarok, Infinity
Right,
War
right.
era. You know,
That's
when it was
kind
the
of
good
where
stuff.
I
That was
jumped
the good
in by
stuff.
Infinity War.
That's where you
Yeah,
jumped into,
yeah,
Angel?
yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like Thunderbolts was definitely like a return to form. It kind
Yeah.
of had the same vibes
Yeah.
as Phase 3 in a good way, you know?
Yeah.
I think it definitely felt a lot more like some of those movies from a couple
Yeah.
like 5-6 years ago now.
Almost 10.
Yeah.
If you count like the whole thing, yeah, it's like it's over 10
Yeah.
over 10 years ago, which is crazy.
Age of Ultron was 10 years ago now.
Oof,
Doesn't that make you
God.
feel old?
it does,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
But I think after the drought that we had of
The
like,
drought.
the drought that we had of like solid, well plotted and like well executed MCU movies, we had the sort of like VFX. Overworked, crunched VFX workers
Yes.
and the slop of all that stuff for a couple of years.
Apparently, I don't know. Well, my source on this is Hayden. Just Hayden Brown.
Hey, dude, Hayden's gonna keep on getting mentioned.
Yeah, he keeps getting mentioned, and then episode 50, he finally shows up. That's like how they were mentioning Thanos in every movie.
We build him up to the final boss.
But Hayden,
What did they say?
Hayden was telling me that apparently this is the first movie that's part of like Feige's course correction or like
Yes,
his new plan. That like he came originally after Endgame. The plan was like more movies and more TV shows in a shorter time frame, and it
Yeah,
showed because it like
So yeah.
The
you know,
output
a lot of these projects like you
increased
said,
and the quality
yeah, a lot of these projects were rushed. Like you said, VFX artists were
Yeah.
like overworked,
absolutely.
and like it showed. But then Kevin Feige recently came out like, yeah, we're gonna like go back on that. You know, less is more, quality over quantity type of thing. And apparently, Thunderbolts is like the first entry in that
Right.
plan. And at least for me, I don't know when you guys watched the movie, like it showed.
Totally.
Like just from the
Totally.
beginning, like 30 minutes or so, you could definitely tell it was like
More
a different
care.
type of
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I haven't been excited for a Marvel movie like in a very long time.
Oh no,
Thunderbolts
absolutely.
was like one of the first things because I saw Black Widow and I thought that was all right. I really like Florence Pugh and I thought she was,
Yes,
and I love her. Like the first time I saw her was in Midsummer.
Midsommar, of
Midsommar. I don't know. And I love that movie a lot, and I thought she was a standout in that. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, we're getting her back, and we're getting it's like Black Widow vibe. Like we're back. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been excited a long time.
We also have David Harbour back from Black Widow as well.
David Harbour
Right.
is
He's
great.
great. So yeah, that's what I was excited for, and yeah, I liked it, and I thought it was
Yeah.
return to.
Yeah, I
how you
think
saying,
me and Eddie were also saying like it's a return to form just in the end credit scene alone. Because like
Right.
think when was the last time you watched the Marvel movie and then the end credits teased something
And it was like
that was going to be
exciting.
in the next movie,
Right.
And then,
Yeah.
something that made you go, damn, I can't wait to see the next one.
Yes.
Because like
Absolutely.
think about Eternals for example. I don't know if you guys saw that one.
I did.
I did.
Yeah, it's sad.
Well, Eternals happens, and what is it? Jon Snow, Kit Harington, like opens up the sword, and Blade off screen is like, "Yeah, we're gonna kill vampires." And then Harry Styles shows up. Do you remember that?
I do.
he
Harry
was
Styles
in
shows up
that?
with an awful, like atrocious CGI Patton Oswalt. Again, probably
Yeah,
made,
exactly,
probably
yeah.
made by some guy in like a day because they
Because they
crunched him.
overworked their CGI artists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like it was awful. Just like it felt like there was no direction. It felt like you had no idea what was happening and you had no
Exactly.
reation to be excited. Whereas
Or
this,
even like with Thor: Love and Thunder at the end, Zeus is like, "We got to get back at
Right,
Thor,"
right,
and then
right.
Hercules shows up. When are we ever gonna see Hercules? When are we gonna see
Right.
Harry Styles?
That's true.
The
That's
Blade
true.
movie got delayed. We've heard nothing from like Kit Harington. So
That's
it's like
exactly right.
they tease something and we don't even see it till like 5 years down the line. But then in this movie, in Thunderbolts, you see the rocket ship, you see the Four, and that makes you go, oh shit! In 2 months, I get to go to Fantastic Four. It like builds
so true.
off of the next movie, and so.
I think that's why, like, if I had to like boil it down, I feel like that's why Thunderbolts feels like a return to form. I think there's many aspects. I think the direction and the clarity of like how they composed the movie and how they like actually like the actual technical aspects of it were a lot cleaner and a lot more streamlined. Probably a little bit more time was given to VFX artists, and not just VFX, but like maybe all the artists who worked on the movie. Maybe all of them had sort of more time and more freedom to do what they wanted and what they would have been able to do 10 years ago in the sort of like the older MCU. But I think if I had to sum up the entire reason that this feels like a return to form, I think it's because the Marvel movies, looking back on them now, sort of like as a student of filmmaking, and I feel like it's obvious that the Marvel movies are about energy and they're about excitement,
getting the
like
audience
first and
entertained.
foremost, right? Yeah.
Oh,
and
they're made that way.
First and foremost, their energy and their excitement, and they are entertainment. And I feel like this movie just perfectly capitalized on all that. And the end credit scene is a perfect like example of like how they were actually able to make, for the first time in a couple of years, they were able to make an end credit scene that captured the energy of like propelling you directly into the next movie coming out in a couple months. And they were able to capture that excitement that again they were able to capture 10 years ago.
It definitely felt like also another movie that wasn't trying to set up other movies.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes,
like you
yes.
said, like
It could stand on its own.
that it could stand on its own. Exactly. Yeah. That it was more concerned with just entertaining within that own movie and not being like, how do we make this movie good and then also set up 5 other movies.
That's exactly true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the story of the movie?
Yeah.
All right, we're just like we just jump right in. It's like you see Thunderbolts. We're just gonna jump right in. First thing we talk about is the last 5 minutes of it.
No, literally.
Well,
Hey.
I think like one of my favorite parts of the movie was like its messaging on mental health and that theme in general. Because it opens up right on
That permeates throughout the whole story.
Yeah. Also,
Totally.
we can spoil it just for people. Spoil this review just
Spoilers.
to put it out there. It starts out in why am I forgetting her name? But it's not Florence.
characters?
The character of Florence.
Yelena.
Yelena.
There you go. I love Yelena.
Yeah.
Well, Ben was like 5 minutes late to the movie.
Oh, I was right. When we showed it to the screening, I walked in not 5 minutes late, obviously, because like movies don't start like immediately at the screen time. I walked in 25 minutes late, and I was just like, I definitely missed the opening. But it turns out, luckily, I only ended up missing the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's good.
You missed the Nicole Kidman ad.
I miss Nicole Kidman. That's
The
so
most
sad.
important thing.
I know. I look forward to that every time.
I look forward to clapping every time.
Yeah, I clap every time. That's how I know I have a good theater. If I start clapping and other people
you're right,
I'm like,
always,
these people
always.
know what's up.
That's how you know.
But if I start cheering and clapping and people look at
And
me,
you're the only one.
and I'm
They're
like, these
You're like,
losers.
These people have never seen a movie before.
They don't know. Uncultured. No, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, it opens on Yelena, like just feeling like I love how I think she like probably mentions like the void or feeling this void.
The void, yes.
Yeah, now that her sister is gone, and it feels like there's like something that's not quite right, and I could like really resonate with that. And then she just like jumps off this building, and then you would think like, oh, she's just she's doing it,
The movie starts with
yeah,
her jumping off a
and I'm
building.
like, whoa, where are we going with this?
Kind of dark for a
Yeah.
Disney, for a Marvel movie.
And then she just like has a parachute and she's goes back into fighting mode.
And it's a mission, right. And the mission is where I jumped in on the movie. So I missed that entire every bit of subtext of that, every bit of like good character establishing. I missed that. So my bad.
But no, I really like that, and I also really like. There's a part where she, with the Red Guardian, that like they get into an argument, and then she's like she leaves him, and then like he's trying to like.
That's the best act she does in that movie.
He's like, hey, like why are you like doing this? And she's like, well, like you didn't reach out like all this time. You didn't really reach out to me. You didn't really care about me. And they're able to kind of bond. But I just thought like the writing was so good.
Yeah.
It was so real. A really good scene. It didn't make me tear up, but I think I was like, oh, okay. It has its heart, and that's what I love. When movies have a heart to it, like it's really good.
It's like, when was the last time we had a theme in a Marvel movie that permeated throughout the whole story and through every character? Because every character is going through
totally.
it in that movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Like U.S. agent, you find out.
Actually, I think I do have an answer to that question. I think the answer to the question of like when was the last time we had a Marvel movie with a theme and that was like woven through it was Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. because I feel like that was for me the last Marvel movie that had. No, actually,
Maybe-
that's a lie. It might have also been Guardians.
I
of the
was just
Galaxy
about to
3.
say Guardians.
I think
3,
those
yes,
two
yes.
movies were the last Marvel movies that I watched that I felt were crafted with the same level of care as
Exactly.
Group's movies. I think those two, were Thunderbolts is in the same sort of vein as those two. I think in terms of having a core theme and having a sort of what's the word, emotional,
Like a
resonance.
thematic. What do you want to call it? Like the way it just goes with the whole story.
Totally.
I think it starts with her like saving a guinea pig. Do you guys remember that? She saves like the little hamster or
missed that
guinea
part.
pig. Well, you walked in late, so you missed that. Do you remember that part, Angel?
So
She is doing the mission. She like fights the dude down the hallway in the very beginning. And then she like
Oh,
blows up
yes,
the building.
yeah.
She has like a little hamster,
Yeah,
a guinea
yeah,
pig,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Think about how that's Bob and that's the Void. Like her saving the guinea pig that was literally like experimented and tortured with like all these lab
wow.
stuff. That's how she saved Bob and the Void.
Wow,
in
that's very
Sentry.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Something
like
I
that.
didn't notice until like rewatching scenes, and I was like, oh, like it ends how it began.
How cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
That's writing, dude. That's filmmaking.
peak cinema, absolute,
Absolute cinema.
the fucking black and white picture of Martin Scorsese. Like, You think he watched this movie and he was also like, yeah, Marvel's back. Wakes up, logs it on his letterbox. He's like, 2 out of 5. What else did you guys like about this movie?
Yeah.
Besides the themes and the, just feeling like, oh, Marvel's back.
That's a good question.
We're back, boys.
I feel like, well, it has been, honestly, I made the mistake of watching it a little bit too early. We were recording this a little bit late after I watched it. So I feel like specific scenes are not coming to me as easily as they would have been if I'd watched it sooner, more recently. So that's my bad.
I do like the, if we're talking about specific scenes, I
Yeah.
do love when they get out of the vault and they meet up with Red Guardian in the desert, right?
Oh, okay. I do love that scene.
Yeah, and he pulls up in the car and like he's such a dad. He's just like, Yelena, it's gonna burn you alive.
So good.
I mean, like I also came into this like not knowing much of like the story in general. Like, I didn't know
right.
like the Void was gonna be Sentry or
I didn't know that
Yeah.
either. When it showed in the trailers,
Yeah.
Bob, and then they showed the dude turning people into shadows. I thought
Yeah.
those were 2 separate characters.
yeah. I didn't know it was like I didn't like even know what the story was gonna be. I was like, oh, they're just the Thunderbolts fighting somebody. I don't know who, but
Right.
Yeah. So did you know about Sentry like
I knew that.
transformation into it?
I knew that Bob was Sentry, but I did not know that Sentry was also the Void. That was the part that surprised me. you know?
Are they like 2 separate characters like in the comics? Is that how?
I wouldn't know because I haven't read the comics.
Okay,
but
same. I'm on the same boat.
apparently, it's like that in the comics. That like the Void is the dark part of like the Sentry. It's kind of like he has to balance both parts of himself inside. Something
Ooh,
to
that's
that.
deep. That's profound.
I also, if you're talking about specific scenes, I did love the fight scene with Sentry versus
The one where they
Thunderbolts.
can't touch him at all.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that
So good.
that one or like the ones after?
No, that one. The one
Oh.
where it's at the watchtower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
do.
they're
Okay,
all
okay.
trying to like,
He's
tackle.
like so
Pretty
overpowered.
solid. Pretty solid.
I love how that scene is shot in a oneer as if Sentry is like the main character. When he's
Right,
the villain,
right.
you know?
Totally.
It's like how in Guardians 3 when we see like that oneer in the hallway where it's like all these main characters
Yes.
taking down the bad guys. It's like filmed in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's filmed not as if the Thunderbolts are the main focus. It's Sentry is the main focus. Like,
Right,
he's just
right.
standing there and they're all like
yeah.
charging at him and he's just like flicking them with his
No,
wrist.
totally.
It's
Yeah.
sick. Yeah. Such a good fight scene.
It is a good fight scene. And that reminded me of my actual favorite scene in the movie, which was sort of the in sort of Bob's like mind, his like mind palace kind of world, and he's
Depressed.
Real.
He's like punching like the sort of like other manifestation of
Yes,
himself. It's
yes.
like the Void manifestation of himself. And there's this moment as he like starts like wailing on like this version of himself. That like there's this moment where you look at the other characters reacting to it, and you watch him like fighting back tears as he's doing it. There's this moment where it clicks this is like a very obvious sort of like representation of like self-hatred. Maybe you might
Yes.
say like suicidal thoughts.
But there is
or
a
whatever.
moment where it's like Bob. What were you getting at? Like when Bob is fighting the Void, like the part of himself that he hates, he's just like unleashing all his rage and violence.
Exactly.
There's a moment where all the characters are like, "This isn't how we should be doing this." you know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's that
yeah,
moment
yeah,
when you
yeah.
realize that like that's what this is trying to sort of like represent and speak on.
Yeah.
And like as soon as that clicks in your head, you're like, oh, that's quite nice. Like that's quite powerful. And then obviously the characters come in and what they do is instead of attacking him,
I
they
love
sort of,
I love the group hug.
I'll
They embrace them.
absolutely.
I'm gonna say about that. Yeah.
A lesser movie would have
Yeah.
had Bob beat up the Void, and that's how we save the day. But
Right.
the fact that it ends with that hug.
Yeah, and I think that's like a really good message that you're able to lean into like your friends and like people like ask for help when you
the importance
need
of
to.
a support system. Yeah, we're thinking of talking about favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of when Red Guardian like tackles the Rock and saves the little girl
Oh,
on the
that's
street.
really nice.
And he's like, "You're safe." And then she immediately just gets domed.
yeah.
I don't know about you. Me and Eddie watched that like Thursday opening night,
Yeah.
and that got the biggest reaction out of the crowd. Like he saved the little girl, and she's like, "You're safe now." And then he goes, boom. People went like, "Oh, fuck."
You know, I thought she was
It was
gonna.
pretty
I
intense,
thought
pretty intense.
She wasn't gonna come back. I thought she was
Oh, she
fully
came
gone
back at the end.
forever.
No, you thought she wasn't?
I thought she wasn't.
Me personally, when they turned her into a shadow, that made me think, okay, so we're gonna
undo all this.
yeah, we're gonna undo this. There's no way we just kill the kid
We just,
like
no,
that.
I was
And
like,
we're
okay, I guess we
gonna-
just did that.
and we're just gonna stick with that for the whole movie. So yeah, that little girl died. Thanks a lot, Bob. That would have been crazy.
One little shout out that I'd like to make also is that this movie is composed, the score is composed by Sun Lux, which is the same group that composed my favorite movie of all time, Everything Ever All at Once.
Ooh,
And I think it's
great movie.
there's a bit of me that was just thinking about the fact that like Sun Lux, and also I think the director is also either an A24 alum. I know he worked on episodes of Beef.
Jake Schreier.
Jake Schreier.
He
right,
did
right.
work on Beef.
This movie pulled certain people and certain creatives from sort of like the indie film world, which I really appreciated.
Oh,
Sun
yeah.
Lux being my favorite example because they did Everything Everywhere, and then Jake Schreier being someone who worked on Beef and A24 stuff.
Well,
I think it's just cool that the Marvel decided to pull people from the sort of the indie film world.
Well, Marvel
for
is
this.
always pulling in like the top of the top like new fresh indie directors.
Oh, yeah, actually,
it's always
you're right.
But it's just a matter of whether they let them actually like
Do
have
totally
an effect
right.
on the story, or whether they just hire them to film it, get it done, and then get out of there.
You're 100% right. I totally take back what I just said because I realized that they've always been
No,
doing
but
that.
that's because this is the first one where it's felt like
In a while.
it's had that indie touch.
Yes.
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Totally.
I think I remember there was a trailer that Eddie showed me of like they were preaching about how there was so much A24 or like indie crew members like on this.
Oh, really?
set.
Even like down to the crew. Interesting.
There was a
interesting.
trailer that was like from the people who brought you this.
No,
movie.
yeah, I think
Really?
I
I
saw
didn't
like
see
from the same
from the composer of everything.
or it'd be like from the
Wow.
blah 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 from this movie, and it's like, all right, we're just gonna list every A24 movie.
I did not see that trailer.
You
That's
ain't,
No, I
slick,
amazing.
saw that.
slick, Marvel.
Yeah.
You ain't slick.
They're really leaning into it. Okay. Well, that's funny.
That's the way the market.
They're like, guys, trust us, we got a good
marketing.
director this time. I swear.
Not like the other ones. It's okay.
But no, you're
It's different.
totally. It's interesting that you. I mean, again, thank you for thank you for correcting me because it's interesting that you're right. This is the reason that this is different is not because they brought in an indie director, but it's because, like we talked about earlier, like the return to form. This is the first time in a while
they
they
let him
let
take
him.
his time.
Right. Interesting. That's cool.
Who are you guys' favorite characters in the movie?
Oh, mine had to be Red Guardian. I love that guy.
I love
He's
it.
so funny.
Yeah, Red
He's so
Guardian
funny.
too.
Red Guardian's cool. I like Yelena a lot.
I love
Dude,
Elena,
here's-
obviously.
I think after this movie,
Yeah.
ironically enough, I think I like Yelena more than Black Widow.
Wow.
Bro, right? Isn't that a
That's a
hot
take.
take?
That's a take.
I mean, Eddie agrees with me.
He does.
Look at
Aw,
him.
man.
Well, that's
in
just
the
because Eddie
background.
loves Florence Pugh too.
Did you see Midsummer?
I didn't,
See that one. That
Yeah.
I do
different
think
effect on you.
The thing for me is that it was like no hate towards Black Widow at all, but like they didn't really delve into her as a person until
Right.
Endgame. Like
Right.
the one where
That's
she
true.
dies. You
That's
know?
true.
Yeah.
That's
But
true.
like the scene with her talking to Captain America about how like the Avengers broke up, but that was all she had. That family was all she had. I was
Yeah.
like, I wish
That was
we had
before.
more of that.
Right,
In like
in
Civil War,
previous
in
years.
Winter
Right.
Soldier, you know?
She was in the movies for literally like a decade. That's true. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Whereas, at least for me, this is the first time I've seen Yelena like fully, because I've only seen snippets of her from Black Widow and like Hawkeye, because I haven't really fully watched those. I've just seen scenes. But like,
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I see.
I've seen
Yeah.
scenes from Hawkeye, yeah, but I saw Black Widow and I like that one.
you like
Yeah.
Black Widow?
Yeah, it has
was
its
okay.
it has its fair share
pretty
of
solid.
like.
I
does
think
that
it's
make
better
sense?
than people. I think it's better than people remember it being. Like there, people. I think what a lot of
was-
people online like to harp on is that there's some pretty dodgy CGI in that movie, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the story is like pretty well done. It's decent.
Yeah.
I do like the scene from Black Widow. I saw the scene on YouTube where like Yelena makes fun of Natasha for the way she lands.
Oh, the pose.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
She's like, you're always such a poser. She's always like doing that thing on the ground. Yeah.
There's this moment in Black Widow. We're just talking about Black Widow now.
Yeah.
There's a scene in that
You
movie
whip your
where
hair back and forth.
You go ahead like this. And then Yelena does the
Not
pose.
pose.
and then she's like, ugh.
I love that. No, I
There's-
recently saw like a month ago. That's why like it's
Oh, you
like fresh
did?
in my memory. Yeah, I wanted to.
Do you
see
remember the
it.
scene where she talks about the pockets?
Oh yeah,
I love the scene where she talks about the pockets.
It's cool.
What is that scene?
She like gets given this this outfit. It's like a vest or something, like a tactical vest by Natasha, and she just talks about the pockets. It's my favorite scene in that whole movie. Is when she's just like going on and on about
It's like
About how many
in the
pockets
outfit.
she has.
like in her bed, because like the whole point of like before that,
I think it comes back
she
to
was
the end.
controlled in the red room, and now she has like freedom. So she's like, I can do whatever I want, like buy a vest with a bunch of pockets.
Oh no, she doesn't get given. You're right. She buys it herself.
Or I think she
I'm pretty
buys
sure
it.
she
Yeah,
does.
she's
No,
like-
yeah, I think you're right. I think
She's
you're
trying
right.
to express like now she can do whatever she wants. She's not controlled by.
Yeah,
it,
it's a
you know?
great little
But-
moment. It's a great little character moment.
I guess with Thunderbolts, I guess I kind of miss a little bit more of the Yelena humor.
Oh,
You
A
didn't think
little
she's as
more.
funny in
I
this?
think, yeah.
I think
I
in
love
that
it.
movie they definitely they had Red Guardian and U.S. Agent take up more of the.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I guess that makes sense. 'Cause
And I think it makes sense because she needs to be the emotional heart of the movie. I think.
yeah, she's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know the one who's going through it all. If she was
Yeah.
off making jokes.
Yeah,
wouldn't
no,
hit it
I think so. What do you guys think in general about like the accents, the Russian accents that David Harbour and Florence Pugh do?
I am not Russian.
No, I don't mean the
I
accuracy.
am on
No,
the
so I
same
don't mean the
boat.
accuracy. I mean like, did you think they were like consistent? I noticed.
It's hard.
I thought it was hilarious. I think it's funny. But
Did you
I-
notice it slipping here and
a little
there?
bit? Yeah. And I think it's fantastic when that happens. Honestly,
It's hard
so
for me to
funny.
gauge that because I'm not like Russian, you know.
I hear you, I hear you.
If Florence Pugh is playing like a Filipina woman, then I would've been like,
Philippines.
yeah. She was like, "Oi," and she's like, pointing to look with her lips. Then I would have been like, "Oh, her accent is slipping." I can tell.
Right.
But like honestly, I couldn't tell at all.
Gotcha,
whether it was
gotcha.
slipping.
I also wasn't like paying attention on that.
I feel you. I feel you. I just thought there were moments when I noticed their real accent slipping through, and I genuinely think it's the best part. It's the best part of the voice is when they, because it's like such an over the top like sort of like fun accent that when it slips, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I do remember when you're talking about accents. I do remember Wanda, Scarlet Witch's accent, because she has a full on accent in Age of Ultron, and then she kind of just loses it. By
Just
the time
slowly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what happens when you assimilate. You know.
When you assimilate, when she got colonized.
Exactly, dude.
Crazy.
Whitewashing those. What was that place they were called? They were from. It's like it's in
Sokovia. The Sokovians.
Whitewashing those Sokovians, man.
Yeah. Are you gonna say?
Were there more things you liked about it, or
About Thunderbolts?
or things you didn't like about Thunderbolts?
Ooh, the
How about
only
that?
thing I would say I didn't like is the structure is a little weird. Because at least in my opinion, I feel like there's no act 2. I feel like act 1 is
Yeah,
like
that's
bringing
fair.
the group together, and then the group isn't fully brought together until Bucky shows up.
Right,
And that's
right.
like halfway through the movie.
And then they go
And
straight into.
immediately when Bucky shows up,
That's
they're
fair.
like, "Let's stop Sentry and go to the Watchtower."
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, you
I think you're right about that. I think in general the pacing was a bit weird. I felt like the very very beginning was paced really wonderfully. I think, and then after that, I think it got a mixture of like a little bit draggy and a little bit choppy. Like there were scenes that were like, okay, we can like this is I get what's happening. We can wrap this up. And then there were scenes that I was like, okay, wait, hold on. I feel like we moved into that too quickly. The lack of an act 2.
Yes.
Like the switch immediately from like the team getting together to immediately like finding their mission, finding the thing that they're about to do,
Yes.
and then immediately like getting the twist. All of that I felt was a little bit fast. I don't know.
I think the thing that it would have benefited is once we get the whole team together, including Bucky, just have them like do like one action sequence or like
Right.
one mission, and then let's like confront Sentry.
No, totally,
Because
totally.
they assemble and then they immediately get their ass kicked, which I guess might be the point, but it's also like I didn't even get to see this team like
Get
do their
together,
thing
go
before
through
we
it,
reach the low
yeah.
point, before they start dating themselves, you know.
And I didn't get to see. I feel like there was not nearly enough build up for not Sentry like the powers, but Sentry the character. Like how did he go from Bob sitting in that room where like Julia Louis-Dreyfus was like talking to him to this like guy who has like all the confidence and who feels supported by the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character and all how
Well,
I don't know.
they're
I didn't
only
feel like
able
there
to
was-
tell his backstory through like they just say it like offhanded, like oh yeah, this report, he was a druggie in this place and then he signed up for this program, or like it's just a one-off line.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah, this guy's family abused him. It's like you don't really get to see it.
I kind of wish there was a little bit more of that. Yeah.
Granted, they have like 5 more other characters to
That's true.
show the
That's
backstory.
true.
There's a lot of catching up to do for someone who, like, let's say I haven't seen anything in Phase 4 and Phase 5. They gotta explain to me who Elena is.
That's a good
who
point.
Red Guardian is, who U.S. Agent is.
And in a way, I guess, I mean, hearing you say that in a way, I feel like makes me realize that maybe this was like the best version of this we could have gotten, because to juggle all that is like really hard. And if they had done a bunch more like Sentry stuff, maybe the movie would have felt bloated, felt like way too long, you know. So I can appreciate the way they handled it for sure.
That's
even
true.
if I wanted more Sentry stuff. Should you give the movie a rating?
Yeah.
Oh, rating.
Yeah, we can.
Out of 10 or out of 5?
Oh, so our rating system.
We have like 2.
Yes.
We have the best
2.
rating.
I think we try to juggle a little bit of sort of like a more subjective rating, and then like a typical star rating. So what we usually do is that we have you. We'd like to ask you: did this movie give you hope for movies in general, for cinema? You might say, for filmmaking as a craft.
That could be a whole episode in on itself, because I don't know if you guys know, this is actually one of the few Marvel movies that I think failed to break even.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's not
so
doing
that-
that good in the box office.
That doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
The box office numbers don't give me hope.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I mean, the movie itself, yeah. I mean, I do. Like we said,
I'm glad to hear.
This is the first time in a while I've been excited for the next Marvel project. I'm praying to God that they pull off Fantastic Four.
Right. Oh, me too, man. Me too.
If they mess up Fantastic Four a third time in a row,
it's over.
we're cooked.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. Like if you get Pedro Pascal and you still can't make a good Fantastic Four movie,
If you
like,
get,
it's over.
dude, if you get the guy from Andor, have you guys watched Andor? We'll talk about Andor a different day. But if you get the guy from
the biggest
Andor
Andor.
Oh, you gotta bring out
as
like
the thing,
Jordan
and you
or, like-
mess him up, come on, guys, come on. Anyways, I would say Thunderbolts did give me hope for movies. It's interesting to hear the box office thing. That's a little
Yeah, I
upsetting
knew
because
about
that's a little
that.
disappointing. to
hope
hear.
for movies in general, or like hope and like
the industry, hope for the
yeah,
industry,
because the
is
industry
it's in a rough place right now.
it's a little bleak. Yeah, but the movie itself,
I guess like the quality of the movie. Like
yeah, Marvel
yeah,
projects as
yeah.
themselves and the quality of the upcoming Marvel projects, I'm a little more optimistic than I'm
glad to hear that.
Previous movies.
Yeah.
That's great, and I completely agree. What do you think?
No, I'm on the same boat that I think compared to like the recent stuff that's been out.
Okay,
A step in the right direction.
A step
step in the right direction. That's
Yes,
perfect way
yes.
to put it.
Yeah, yeah. You?
And then, oh yeah,
What did
I
you-
said
okay,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And then as for the star rating,
Yes.
What'd you give it?
5.
What's
What's
I out of 5,
yeah.
I'm between a 3.5 and a 4.
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna give it 3.75.
Okay.
But if you
okay,
had to
okay.
ask me, I lean more towards 4.
Okay, that's cool.
okay,
That's
okay.
cool. I like that.
I think
Yeah.
a 4 out of 5 just means a solid movie. Some
Right,
minor
right.
nitpicks here and there, but like I had a good time.
That's very
Yeah.
solid. That's a great number.
Yeah, I think I was on exactly the same boat, like 3 or like 3.5.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because I just
Okay.
thought
a little lower though.
I thought like in general, like I really did like it. I just thought a little bit more interesting. I don't know. So it's like the first half. I don't know.
Okay.
You like the
But
first
yeah.
half more? Oh, you're saying
No,
you
I think
didn't like
I
the
think
first.
the first half could have been a little bit more interesting. I don't know. I think in general.
In general,
Yeah, yeah,
you could have been more
yeah,
like engaged.
a little bit more
Okay.
engaged a little bit. But
No.
That's fair.
I think, like I said before, really step in the right direction.
I don't
Yeah.
think it'll be
Totally.
up there as one of the greatest Marvel movies, but it's like
Right.
it'll be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a good time.
Yeah.
for sure.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah.
If I had to give it a number, I would give it some. I think I'm in the same boat as you, Nico, leaning towards 4, maybe 3.5 or like 3.6, like pretty solidly. You know, like you said, not something that I would like call one of my favorite Marvel movies or something that I would even like come back to over and over again. But like it was definitely a good time. And like you said, step in the right direction. I think we're all pretty
No
much in the
major
same boat.
complaints. Is
Right.
The thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
like-
Absolutely. Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you Nico for coming on the show.
Yeah. I hope you had a fun time. This was
Oh,
you
this is amazing.
It was great chatting with you.
I just get to you
about this
know.
movie we watched weeks ago.
What's our next materialist? That's about to
materialist. You know what? If
Y'all
you're
trying
gonna
to-
see it, I'm gonna see that. And then
Hey.
because yeah, well, catch us in another episode of Newbies.
We'll see you guys in the
More
next
good
one.
movies to come out. A lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
to look forward to.
Especially this summer. There's going to be some
This
exciting stuff
summer,
happening.
generational
Very-
run for
for-
movies.
Absolutely,
It's gonna
dude.
be
Honestly,
bad.
a generational run we haven't seen since like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I feel like
since
we've
2023.
had some good summers for movies recently. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's been good.
It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah.
Fantastic.